Hi Krafty Friends, this is Jen and welcome back to Katahdin Crafts. Today I am excited to be collaborating with my super talented cousin Vinita at Vinita Art. She is over on teacherspayteachers.com. I have her link right there. So I have always been amazed by her artistic abilities, and I started looking at her clip art that she had on Teachers Pay Teachers, and I thought, hey, we can make some cards with this. So she was glad to hook me up with these wonderful underwater scenes. I just asked her what I wanted, and she just kind of drew it and sent it to me, which was really, really awesome. Don't we all wish that we had talent like that? So the first thing that I did when I received her file was I printed it all out on Copic friendly paper on my inkjet paper or printer with my inkjet printer, which is also Copic friendly, and I got down to coloring. And I used a ton of colors as I was doing these images, which was really super fun actually. You can see all of my color choices on the caps right there in the corner. I sped this up because, like I said, there's a lot of coloring. So if I went slow or in real time, we would have been here forever. It did take me quite a while, but it was fun. I listened to my audiobook and colored away, which is, it's one of my favorite things to do actually. So what I did here was I took the lightest tone and I first start where I want to actually shadow, and I use the light tone of the Copic marker, and then I go in with the medium, and then I go in with the dark, and then I smooth it all out and blend it with the light again. And so I just worked that out. And then for the shells, though, I did it a little bit different because I wanted them to be kind of like a pattern. So I went with a darker blue, and then I went to a green and then to a yellow to kind of get almost an ombre kind of look. And I'm not sure what are those. As I was coloring them, and I was wondering, and I haven't Googled yet. I know it's all a shell, but I wonder if those individual parts have a name. I'm not really sure, but anyway, so I started with the B06 on that, and then I went to a lighter green, but I wasn't quite happy with that. So you'll see I'm going to go back with a little bit of a darker green. I think it's G09, and I go around the blue base again and then smooth that out. I was really actually happy at the end of how it worked. I liked a little bit of gradation, and you can really do so many different things with this shell. You can do all different patterns and colors, and this is fun. Like, I want to go back in. I printed out another set, and I often speak of him, but my 11-year-old son absolutely loves to color, and he loves to color digital images. So I printed him out a set, and he actually made his dad a cute Father's Day card. I should probably take a picture and show everybody what he came up with. It's pretty cute. Anyway, getting back to it, I did the little edge of the shell in browns to just get a little bit of a distinction between the greens. And I think that I'll chat a little bit as I'm coloring, because you can see that there's a lot of coloring to do. And I was trying to pick as many bright colors as I could because, underwater scene with the coral and the starfish, everything is very bright and beautiful. But anyway, so I am a day late of Father's Day. I couldn't get this done yesterday. We do own a seasonal takeout restaurant, and this year, because the kids aren't involved in sports and stuff, is the first year that I've really been significantly a significant amount of time down there working, and my job this summer has been the onion ring maker. I have already seen, and it's only been a couple weeks, more onions than I care to ever see. So on the first day alone, I made 50 pounds of onion rings. That is a lot of onion rings, and let me tell you, I don't eat onion rings. So it's a lot of onion rings to smell. I do wear gloves, so I don't always kind of smell like an onion. But yeah, it's been a different kind of summer. We're making the best of it. We're not going to go too far this year for the first time, like most families or a lot of families are choosing. So we're all 5 of us are on board, and we've all been helping out down there, and it's been fun, teaching the kids some responsibilities. And my oldest daughter just got her driver's license. Eek. I wasn't quite prepared for that. I thought maybe we would have to wait a little bit longer, but they got the DMV going pretty fast, and she did that. Um, so anyway, so it's a different kind of summer for everybody. I'm going to craft as much as I can, which is really exciting, but I was a day late because we were busy for Father's Day and I had to go back down and make some more stinking onion rings. So, but oh well, I got to it today and I'm wicked excited about it. And actually, I've had a nice quiet day for the first time in a long time as well. My husband decided to take the kids and went to see his dad. And so that was good. And let me tell you, we have a pet pig. My daughter has a pet pig. And so today I had, primary responsibility of her. And this morning, first thing, I thought, well, I'll bring her out. And she didn't have her harness on. And she can bite a little bit, unfortunately, once in a while. So we're all kind of a little timid around her, but not too bad. Normally, when she goes out with me, we've been really good. Like, she's been really good. And she goes in the backyard and does her thing and walks around and eats some grass. And I take my time out there, maybe water the plants. Well, this morning it was first thing. And so I'm in my PJs and out we go. And she decides that she's going to go to the front near the road today. So no harness, and here I am in my PJs and my all my morning splendor, and trying to get a pig to come back into the house and not get into the road, and not get bitten by said pig at the same time. So can you imagine all of that? So I ended up grabbing like a kind of a stick, and I wasn't hurting her with it, but I was kind of like shepherding her with it. And she didn't try to bite me though, so and we eventually got in. And my mistake was is I normally bring out apples or something that will entice her, but I grabbed some Cheerios. Apparently she's not having the Cheerios. She wants apples or banana chips. So I learned that today the hard way. And all the people going by me probably thought I looked like a crazy lady out in my PJs with a pig, but hey, good times. And so here, as you can see, I cut down the beach. I wanted to have some really nice highlights and shadows when I was doing this for a lot of depth and dimension. So I did use 5 different color Copic markers when I was doing this, and just kept on working. This was probably the longest coloring part because I just kept on blending and blending. But I was really super happy with the way it came out. So, sometimes it just takes a little bit of time to get things the way you actually want them. And you'll see in a few seconds that when I started actually making the sand area, I had a little whoopsie daisy with the marker, the Copic marker. Sometimes they run, but it really hasn't happened very often to me, but it did today. So you'll see in just a second, my little whoops is going to happen, and boom, there it is. So you can see that there was a lot of ink coming out. So I just tipped up my card. So I went, and I didn't really know how to rectify this. So if anybody has any tips, I'd love to hear them. But so I just tipped up my card so I wouldn't have to keep my marker so vertical. And luckily I was going to be trimming off that bottom edge anyway, so it turned out all right. And I was just really super careful with the rest of it to make sure I didn't keep on getting the ink. But like I said, if anybody has any tips on that, that would be great. And here I'm using a little wink of Stella and I'm giving a little shimmer. So now I'm going to trim out the sand. I just fussy cut it and then I trimmed down the edge with my trimmer. And you can see that there was a little corner that I didn't get, so I just took my black Copic marker and went ahead and fixed that little bit of white that was still showing. Now I'm going to use a Jelly Roll white pen, gel pen, and just put some highlights. Sometimes I forget to do this, honestly, in my work. It's something that I'm trying to make sure that I add a little bit more because I do like the way it looks. And oftentimes I'll get to my picture taking and my cards and I'll be like, oh, I forgot my highlights. So this is something that I'm trying to make a conscious effort. I'm not always the greatest about my light sources, so it's work in progress, but I just kind of make it, look the way I like it to look. And what I did is I cut out all my images on my scan and cut, which works really well when you're working with digital images. And then I just used my little spatula and got them all off the mat. I don't always show this process, but I wanted you to see how easy it really is. But you could also fussy cut those very easily. There's not a whole lot of detail in the outline edges, so it would be easy to fussy cut for sure. And of course, you could always just make your scene onto an A2 card base or card panel and just color it that way as well. I like to do different images and piece them together. That's just my personal preference, but there's a lot of digital artists that put together the whole scene and then color it accordingly. And for me on this particular scene, I wanted to be able to do my water in an Altenew ink, and I used the Sweet Dreams set and Aqualicious and Dewdrops. Dewdrops is the lighter one that I used in the center. And then I used a little bit of the darker Aqualicious around the edges. And I just kind of make it, I think it makes your eye, when you do that, when you do dark on the edges and a little bit on the top, it makes your eye move into your scene a little bit. And that's what I tend to do. And I just like the looks of it, the aesthetic looks of it. And now looking back, I kind of wish that I had put my panel just a little bit wider, and then I would have trimmed it so it wouldn't have had quite that heavy edge that's right there. The ink just blended a little bit or just picked up a little bit too much on the edge of the cardstock. Um, and speaking of the cardstock, the sizes that I used on this one are a little bit different than what I usually use, but this card panel is 5 and 5/16 by 4 and a 16th, because I wanted to do several different layers of the card. And then the next layer that I did, the blue that you'll see in a bit, is actually 4 and an eighth by 5 and 3/8. And then we go back right to the A2 size for the card base. So it all turns out to be the A2 size, but I just wanted 2 different layers to make the card pop a little bit more. And now I've got my blending done, and I made sure that I was down far enough that the sand would cover the seam between the two. And now I decided to do some glossy accents on top of the turtle shell and those little decorative things that I don't know what they're called. And sometimes the glossy accents definitely gets a little clogged, and my thing is kind of like bent my tip. So I put my paper piercer into it and just unclogged it, and just, a safety precaution, be careful. I have stabbed myself a couple times doing that process. Not very good. The hazards of paper crafting, paper piercers and X-Acto knives, all the dangers that we have to face in this profession. Anyway, so I just like the dimension and the glossy, and I thought that this would be really fun with the shimmer. And I know it's a Father's Day card, but, I still wanted the shimmer there. So, men like glitter, right? Maybe in secret? I don't know. So there we go. I did it on both of the sea turtles, and I also did it on the small starfish. Actually, I did it on both starfish because I end up using the other one on the inside of the card. And and then I went and I did do it on some of the bubbles as well. So anything that I had used the Wink of Stella clear pen on, I went ahead and put a little glossy accents on top of it too. And it really did give it some nice shine and dimension. And it also made the turtle shells appear to be a little bit wet, so which was kind of cool. Now I did go ahead and let everything dry overnight. I think glossy accents, you really don't need to wait that long period of a time, but it just worked out the way I happened to be. It was later at night, so it worked out that I just waited. And by the magic, though, it doesn't look like I waited. And so now I'm gonna assemble my card. And I tend to use liquid glue the most because I like the way I can slide things around and make sure it's perfectly lined up, as you can see. And for scrapbooking, I do like the tape runners, but for card making, I definitely reach for liquid glue the most. And there I had just a little piece of paper hanging off, so I just used my scissors to clip that, so just to clean it up. And now I'm playing with my placement, which I always do. I try to get it aesthetically pleasing, and I'm trying to balance right now too, to get the sides kind of balanced. And again, it's that whole focal point of moving your eye kind of inward. And as I'm playing and working with that. So as you can see, if you've been following me a little bit, I'm trying really hard to actually slow down my speed and talk a little bit more on my video today. That's been something that I definitely need to work on. I tend to be Speedy Gonzalez and speed everything up, and I find that if I speed it up too fast that I actually talk a lot faster. So at this pace, I can chat a little bit better and not be rushed and feel like I have to talk really fast, which is kind of a funny thing that happens with that. So, oh, I'm adding the glossy accents now to the little bubbles. I decided that it needed a little bit, and that didn't take overnight to dry those. I just kind of set them aside as I was working on the rest of the placement of the card. So for my sentiment, I simply just printed out Happy Father's Day, dude. I did it myself. I just typed it out and printed it. And then I'm using my honeybee sentiment banners and deciding what size that would fit in my opinion in the card. There was actually two of them that I cut out that both could have worked. I decided to go with a little bit the bigger print, but the smaller print one would have worked aesthetically as well. See, I'm gonna show you. See, that could have worked too. And then both little edges of the banner would be on there. But I went with this one, and I used the overhang a little bit, or I made it overhang a little bit, and then I just went ahead and clipped it off after. So now I'm just gonna glue everything on with that liquid glue, because you can see I slide. Oh, right here I was having an ink problem. I never wiped down after I did the ink blending, and then I was wondering why everything was becoming, green. So then I realized that it was getting on my fingers from my mat. So that was a technical difficulty on my part. So then I just have to work off some of that ink with the sand eraser and that a little electric eraser that I have. And then I'm just clipping off the banner there. And it did clean up nice. All the ink came off. I had it in a couple little spots that I had to get, but not a biggie. I spend my life with my fingers all inked between the markers and, all the blending. But that means a happy crafter when you have dirty fingers. Adding that kelp. And then I decided that both of the coral I was going to pop up with some foam tape. So I'm just placing that foam tape, and then I'm going to pop those up. And I also decided to go ahead and pop up with foam tape the larger, the dad sea turtle. And then I did not pop up the child. I was going to say boy, but that, it's a boy or girl turtle. And so here's that panel that I was speaking of earlier. This one is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and it will mat perfectly behind the card panel. And then that will go down again onto the card base, which is your regular A2 size, 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, and then scored at the 4 1/4. Just gluing all that down. And I did add a few dewdrops, you can see, in the aqua color and a little bit of a blue along with the bubbles and a clear one. And I don't know what company, because I've had those for a while. They're kind of just in my gem stash. I just looked for something that had the aquatic look to it. And I always use my bone folder to get a nice crisp edge after I score my cards. I'm just going to glue it on. And there we have it. My first card, and I don't believe it's going to be my last card, made with Vinita Art, a clip art, or digital stamps, I guess is what we can call it. And I decided that with a few extra stamps, of which this has kind of been my thing lately, anything extra that I have that I've colored that I didn't use for the actual card, I go ahead and I put on the inside. And also, this doesn't have to be a Father's Day card. You can obviously come up with any sentiment. You can find one from your stamp stash and add it, or you can type out your own. And it doesn't even have to be Copic friendly to type out a sentiment. You can do that on a laser jet or an inkjet, either one. And I think I did say inkjet earlier, which I did mean my laser jet, sorry. And there you have it. Again, like I said, my first Vinita Art card, and I'm so excited, and I cannot wait to play with her other stuff. She is so super talented, and I have a lot of ideas for her. And please take the time and click the link and go check her out on teacherspayteachers.com. Like I said, I have the link directly to her, so you can see all the wonderful things that she does. She is amazing. If you're an educator, you're going to find lots of stuff that you can use in your classroom. But like I said, look what I've done. I've moved it right into our card making. So thank you very much for stopping in and visiting today. This has been one of my longer videos, but I've really enjoyed talking with everybody. And come find me at Instagram at Katahdin Crafts and my blog at katahdinkrafts.com. I appreciate it. Happy crafting. Bye-bye.